I'm going to guess that certain people wish they had not gone to work today. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there probably is at least one person that wish they didn't go to work today.
Yeah. Like to say I feel bad, but I don't.
Good evening. We did receive a critique to turn the music off while we're talking.
No.
We want to thank you for joining us. The answer to that is no. We like the bumper music, just for the intro part. Welcome to the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. We are the only live, local, liberty-minded program in Kootenai County where we continue to expose the political power players, politicians, social influencers, corrupt religious leaders. Who knew this would be like a full-time job? Who even knew? My name is Dawna Wilson. I'm here tonight with Dan. I'm going to be screening your questions and comments. We're going to do something, well, a couple of things, a little bit different tonight. You can engage in the conversation right there in the comment section on whichever platform you are watching. Doesn't matter which one. Questions and comments in the comment section. We'll get those into the program or over to Dan when it applies to the conversation. And then here in a little bit, I'm going to give you our phone number.
Oh.
You can, we're not taking live phone calls. We'll get that ironed out here at some point. But you can text or leave a voicemail on that number that we can then, so some of you who might want some anonymity, don't necessarily want those questions coming in under your profile, you can text to our number. I'm going to put that up on the screen here in a minute. If you're watching live tonight, be sure to share this stream to your page or profile. Well, in fact, share the replay to your page or profile if you're watching back. For those of you listening back on our podcast, be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. And a reminder, opinions expressed are ours only, not necessarily that of our advertisers, sponsors, affiliates, or guests. So welcome again here to Liberty Without Compromise. Tonight's episode centers on a simple principle that seems to be getting lost in this community. Accountability requires evidence, not outrage, not theater. We've been accused of outrage in theater. But it does require evidence. We brought that, not religious language used as cover. We've seen a lot of that. For weeks now, we presented documented records, firsthand testimony, authenticated statements, and corroborated evidence surrounding abuse, cover-ups, and the misuse of power tied to influential figures in Kootenai County. Rather than engage with that evidence, a small but loud group has chosen distraction, deflection, and personal attacks. What we're seeing is a pattern of vile behavior followed by a sudden pivot to faith language, apologies without accountability, and then public praise that treats the performance like it was some kind of repentance. But that's not humility, it's manipulation. And that matters because it mirrors the same tactics used to protect power instead of people, innocent people. Tonight, we're addressing that pattern directly. We'll respond to recent statements, expose the double standard being applied, and make this clear once again. If you dispute what we presented or if you've made allegations against us, the invitation remains open. Bring verifiable proof. We'll also share responses from local pastors, address new developments in our ongoing investigations, and explain why this conversation isn't about personal attacks. It's about truth, responsibility, and the cost of silence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's your host, Dan Wilson.
Well, I was going to give you the applause for that outstanding professional
It just kept
introduction.
going.
How are you? Thanks for joining. I believe that you are joining either because you are fully interested in what we have to say, you have a concern for your community and beyond, or there are those of you that are wanting to see what we're going to uncover next. You're looking at this like it's a circus. who's going to be named next, what new truths will be revealed. And there is yet another group, and you know who you are. You guys are scared shitless because you know that a reckoning is coming. And you are hoping that you're not going to be named in all of the crap that's going on right here. But liberty without compromise is just that. We promote those values, those principles, the laws of nature, and nature is God. John Locke coined these 100 years before the founders, the great English philosopher, when he talked about all men are created equal with equal value in their worth under God, and all men have the right to life, liberty, and property. And if you don't continually protect your liberty, not only at the government level, but also in your religious gatherings, those that are supposedly supposed to be your spiritual advisors, a place where you should be able to go and be vulnerable, and you find yourself now more often than not in these pews of these 100+ Protestant churches in Kootenai County, full of wolves. We've been spending many weeks exposing this. We haven't forgot about the KCRCC. We're going to talk about the KCRCC tonight and their hypocrisy, but it is your job, nobody else. And it blows my mind, those of you that think that a savior is coming in the form of a president, a Congress, a governor, a state legislator, a local official. Nobody is coming. It is up to you. And if you don't get your ass off the bench and start becoming involved, your liberty is going to be sucked away faster than you even realize it. And I hate to tell you this as well, but these power players in our very own community are also enjoined not only with the political folks, but also the churches. And the churches are heavily embedded with men who are not men of God, men that are masquerading, that are leading 1,000+ people congregations or down to small congregations. We're going to show you tonight how many in this community are more worried about making money rather than to shepherd their flocks. These are the things that are hard to discuss, but we are here to discuss these things. And as Dawna said, we've had about enough of you vagabonds out there who want to continually lie. You think that if you say a lie enough times that the gullible bystanders are going to adopt your lie, that there is no proof, that it's all completely made up and we're just speculating. We have brought the receipts, and I'm throwing the gauntlet down. It's time for you to pony up to the bar, boys and girls, and bring your proof, because you have none. All you have is rhetoric. Now, a little cleanup. I've told you guys that when I make a mistake, I am going to own the mistake. And I have done this in the past. I did it to Representative Heather Scott earlier in 2025. I made a public apology because I made a bonehead, stupid mistake. And, you know, after last week's broadcast, Thursday morning, like many of you who reach out, text me, or send me a message, I was informed that I was not accurate in something that I said last week. And so, without further ado, I want to play for you.
Oh, I was going to say, what did you say?
I want to play the entire statement that I made, and then I want to tell you where I was wrong. So let's go ahead and play this.
Oh boy.
If you're ready. Yeah. I told you to be ready for this.
I know, and now I can't. Okay, here I go. Here.
Let's try it. AG never actually interviewed anybody. The way that they exonerated Norris was they took the report that Detective Haley compiled when he sent it to the Coeur d'Alene prosecutors, and that buffoon based his entire investigation off of that report. Never talked to any credible witnesses. And when you listen to what happened in the trial and even the manner at which his letter was released to the public, the Attorney General is an absolute farce. Yes, I found out that I was absolutely incorrect in that statement when I said that the AG did not interview anyone. He just based his report off of Detective Haley, now Chief Haley's report that he's submitted to the Coeur d'Alene prosecuting attorney. I was corrected. The AG, Deputy AG Nye, apparently did interview people that were there up close and in person that told their stories and provided their videos and their evidence. And it turned out that he didn't care. He disregarded the credible witnesses that told him firsthand their experiences. And the AG continued to go off of just the report and come to his own erroneous political conclusions when he said that, well, we just can't prove that Bob Norris acted in bad faith or with malice. So with that, please accept my most sincere apology. I was wrong. I try to be more accurate. I will do better to be more accurate in the future.
Are you going to like quote some scripture or something to make it religious?
No.
Okay.
I'll leave that to the Candlelight and the altar folks.
We are presenting tonight somewhat in certain places reviews of things that we have covered, or we're going to be discussing detractors. But I know that there are a lot of new leads, I guess you could call them, that we are working on. But in order to do this correctly and present evidence correctly, these things take time.
They take a long time, yes.
I think I'm excited because I think there's some things you're going to allude to tonight, but be probably careful in exactly what you're going to say. For those of you just joining us, you can join in the comment section there on whichever platform you're watching and leave questions or comments, and we can move through those as they apply to the conversation. And then also, if you want a little more anonymity, we've got a phone number where you can text or even leave a voicemail to 208-366-4671. Again, that's 208-366-4671. That number is active at all times. I'm monitoring it now so I can see messages there. If you don't want us mentioning your name, but something you want to share, you can give that a try. Also, share this live stream to your page or profile.
As we have spoken for the past several weeks on Candlelight and the altar church, Pastor Paul Van Noy, the imposter pastor, as we are now referring to him as, we have asked the question, where are the other leaders, the religious leaders, the Protestants? I mean, the Catholics probably aren't going to cross their lines, or the Mormons, but the Protestants. What are the Protestants doing to police their own? We showed several weeks ago a list that you downloaded off the Kootenai County Ministerial Association's website, a list of pastors that they claimed were part of the Ministerial Association. There's been some blowback because some pastors have contacted us directly and said, we weren't part of this and we don't want to have anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we've asked a question. Last week we brought to you one brave pastor who did pose the question. He went to the Ministerial Association luncheon and was appalled by what he saw. Nobody seemed to address the elephant in the room. And he's calling for, accountability. That's one brave David among the Philistines and the Israeli army, so to speak. Well, somebody who I don't know exactly who they are, but on X, somebody by the name of Cowboy Corgi, we go to slide number 1, has taken it upon themselves to start asking the pastors directly, and he's doing it in kind of an unconventional way. I haven't asked the question why, but I would suppose the reason is because you get immediate response. So as we look at slide number 1 here, page 1, Cowboy Corgi on X, he is sending out messages in various platforms, some through Google reviews, I believe, and some through X. And he says in this very first question to Pastor Tim Remington of the Altar Church, Pastor, I'm writing to you to request that you please make a statement about the recent behavior of Paul Van Noy. As a member of the Kootenai County Ministerial Association, I would encourage you to please disassociate from this group led by this immoral person. Bro, I assume you're a dude. Corgi, Tim and Padula are part of the imposter pastor cabal. They work hand in hand with Paul Van Noy. Look at his response. His response to Cowboy Corgi is, "Who is this?" It sounds about typical from my experience.
Oh, yeah.
When we gave Tim Remington the ability, when we caught him in a lie during the campaign, to correct the lie, and when he doubled down and said, "I'm not going to do that because you're acting like a child," we said, "Fine, have it your way." And we released the file showing that he is a liar. He and John Padula are liars. Now, these are taken screenshots from Cowboy Corgi's X post. This one was written apparently to All of Life. I'm guessing that's a church. This pastor from All of Life says, this is page 2 in case I didn't tell you. "I have no public statement to make as I am not associated in any way with Paul or the Ministerial Association, nor is our church. I do not know how or why my name is included on their documents. I attended one meeting years ago and did not go back. One thing to note, Paul has been corrected and in some cases rebuked by fellow pastors for using our names and attaching them to his causes, letters to editor, etc. without permission. To my knowledge, he hasn't done this in a few years. I pray for justice and truth to emerge victorious in the sight of all. Jared. P.S. Have the courage to sign your name." Yeah, Cowboy Corgi, sign your name. Then he goes on to say, "Please remove your slanderous comment on our church's page. Per my reply, we have zero affiliation with Paul or Candlelight. Zero." Oh, okay, Pastor Jared from All of Life. Cool. So why aren't you publicly also stating that Paul needs to step aside and call for an independent investigation? We're going to talk about this here when we're done with these, as far as the pastors abdicating their responsibility because of their cowardice. Next slide. Nate Day, Cowboy Corgi. Let's see if I can make my screen a little bit smaller on mine because I can't quite see the whole comment. "I find it ironic that you are calling for public statements and disassociation while remaining anonymous yourself. I have not participated in the Kootenai County Ministerial Association for over 5 years. You've made your expectations for how others should respond clear. Adjudicating matters in the court of public opinion is a poor practice." Signs it in. P.S. Thanks for the Google review. Next page will show you who Nate Day is. He is pastor of Canvas Church. Well, Nate, again, the reason that this shit has gone on for 40 years or 30 years, depending on which decade you want to say this started, is because all of you guys won't actually do the right thing, which is police yourself, your own body, because we all claim to be part of the body of Christ. And yet, apparently, since their donors aren't your donors, because let's break it down what it is. It's all about money, isn't it, Nate? You're more interested in getting your shekels in your offering plate to build your church and your reputation, because you're not going to actually come out and do the right thing, which is speak about scripture and about false prophets and false teachers. There's been more than enough evidence of things that have come out that you guys should all be outraged, but none of you have courage. You wait for a podcaster, a former sheriff candidate, to do the work that you all refuse to do while you claim your superior moral high ground. And you'll probably have a sermon this week about giving more to the church. You know, all those typical things. They're not getting divorced or whatever it is that are your cyclical talking points. So if you ever want to come on, Nate, and, refute what I'm saying, go for it. But I mean, I just look at what you're saying as cowardice, because you see a problem, but you're not going to cross the line to actually do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take it a step further. I know when it comes to money coming in, it also, for a lot of these guys, it's job security. This has been a career in the religion business. And if they do anything, especially if you're a smaller church and you're going up against the greats, as they're even named themselves, of Candlelight and Paul Van Noy, and you make that kind of stain on your name by going up against the big dog, I mean, there's no way, as they calculate risk versus reward, there's no way that isn't going to cause blowback.
Well, look, we started the campaign under fire because I had the audacity years before in a podcast to share about what had happened to me while I was in a coffee shop over in Spokane Valley. The long and short is a bunch of pastors came in talking really loud so everybody could hear them. And they were talking about hiring a new guy that they were interviewing in order to manipulate the church body, all the small groups, into giving to a building program that they had already rejected. And this was a large campus. And Melanie Herman, whose husband, Todd Herman, used to sit in for Rush Limbaugh. He's a pretty smart dude. She was appalled. How dare you talk about our church? You're pissing everybody off. Well, Melanie, this is exactly what we're talking about. People that market Jesus Christ to sell their business of religion, rather than to actually look out for orphans and widows in their distress and to lead the community in revival via repentance. And yet we see, in fact, yesterday I had somebody that I had a conversation with that was going to real life right here in Post Falls. And said
so you're actually talking about real life in Post Falls.
The real life Post Falls, since Melanie insisted that I was talking about them. But now I am going to talk about Post Falls. Melanie, listen up really close so that you can get every word that I'm saying down to the jot and tittle. This guy that I was talking to yesterday had attended church at Real Life for a while. Jim Putnam was not speaking, but they had some guest that was sitting in for him. This is some time ago. It wasn't real ancient history, but it wasn't real recent. And he was talking about giving. If you're not giving to the point that it hurts, you're not giving enough. And this guy was absolutely pissed off because he's like, you know what? I have been to Putnam's house.
Yeah.
His mother quarters are larger than most people's own residence.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the expensive cars and the lake house. We got a real problem where pastors today are in it for the business. And I'm seeing it continually. By 8 weeks, we've been talking about this now. And not a one of you have, other than one, so I won't say all of you, but most of you won't go out. You won't discuss it. You won't go against them. You'll come up with your bullshit scripture as to why you can't confront him. And we're going to break that down. But you're not going to get one over on us. People are sick and tired of you brood of vipers, you wolves in sheep clothing that are not truly administering the word of God and looking and caring for the sheep. So if you get a chance, go to X and follow this Cowboy Corgi. I find it pretty hilarious in their attempt to engage local pastors in this question about Paul Van Noy. So.
All right, this is National Slavery and Human Trafficking Prevention Month. So January is that.
Yeah.
And some things on there you wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that has listened to me all the way from the beginning of the campaign knows that human trafficking and the eradication of it and going after hunting it is one of the most important things to me. And I find it fascinating, as we have shown numerous times, that we have a sheriff right here in Kootenai County that claims there's no human trafficking taking place. We'll play this video in a second to remind everyone of what his belief is, as well as Pastor Paul Van Noy covering up all the various sex crimes taking place, not only against his own child, his minor child, for years, those in his congregation, those that he hires that have abused children and women. And of course, the things that are going on up at the ranch with the sex assaults that took place by members from the altar church. You have Davil Lou Cummings, the former Homeland Security human trafficking special agent that is embedded deep with Paul Van Noy. We have played the video of the audio of her and Paul when they met with that supporter of mine that was a former congregate of Paul's. And of course, she's also an advisor to Bob Norris. And you would think that somebody with 15 years of experience of supposedly hunting down human traffickers, that she would be taking the reins and telling these guys, you better clean up your act. This is serious. This is real. human trafficking takes place at industrial scale across our country, and we should have zero tolerance for it. In fact, we should have less than zero tolerance for it. And I want to remind you out there, you free thinkers, think about the hypocrisy going on right now, and it's up to you to demand accountability. Let's take a look at that video of Bob Norris again, telling us, well, he actually told Seth Horst, the realtor from North Idaho Experience, just not even a year ago, what he believes is not taking place right here in Kootenai County, right next to Spokane, with a population of over 550,000 people, with I-90 coming through the region, Highway 395, 95, major casinos. There's no human trafficking taking place here, folks. Just listen to Sheriff Dudley Do-Right, Bob Brian Norris.
Is human trafficking occurring in Kootenai County? No. Are there people that live in different parts of this country or this world that are soliciting our teenagers to get naked pictures, sextortion events? That's happening daily, and it's probably happened since we've started this show. That is absolutely. And does that situation put that teenager at risk for being a victim of a crime and human trafficking in the future? You're damn straight it
Absolutely.
does. Yeah. So we need to bring that to a community conversation also.
So Bob Norris is sitting in a room of former cops, California cops. Dave Fowler, realtor. You have Seth Horst, realtor, former CHP trooper. You have Special Deputy Bruce Matari in there. This is the same stuff that Bob Norris continually stated over and over during the campaign, and that's what his belief is. The guy that's supposed to protect everybody in this county, the supreme law enforcement officer of the county, does not believe that human trafficking takes place. Well, it's, your kids getting exploited on the phone.
That's the thing that frustrates me, because initially, but when your campaign was newer in the making in 2024, Bob Norris was on video in several different presentations, 2 or 3, yeah, in 23 and 24, saying that human trafficking is not happening in this county. As you began to put the pressure on and your campaign ramped up, you could tell that he got advice. You can't, this, flat out saying it just doesn't exist, end of sentence, is not working. So for public relations reasons, we need to teach you how to pivot that answer, so that instead of it just being a non-answer, what he started doing, because initially it was just, no, it's not happening. Mm-hmm. But then you saw that shift to where he then said, we don't have signs of human trafficking here, but what we do have is, and it's internet crimes or predators against children. And then that is the longest form of his answer. As the answer pivots, that's what he then gets to choose what he's presenting, mm-hmm, and what he's talking about.
Well, Nate Lewis from The Innocent would tell you the story of when they put decoys out of people wanting to come from Washington and Oregon once they posted these listings. Men that wanted to come into our county to violate children all the way down to infants, and how many hits they received off of those, as well as not too long ago, somebody right here in Post Falls in the Rathdrum area was arrested for selling their children to these evil, vile men that would violate them. But I want to come back, and this is, I see that Bjorn just joined. This one's for you, Bjorn, and the KCRCC. You guys claim that you are for family values, that you're for law and order, that you support the Republican platform, whatever that is these days. And yet, despite everything that you have seen, the things that we brought up during the campaign and through the broadcast for over a year here, you guys chose to still double down and support a man that decided that he was going to, despite him even reporting to the Coeur d'Alene police that sex acts were taking place in these Asian massage parlors, he continued to go back. You have a local businessman that was a rated and vetted candidate by the KCRCC for a low position, just a water district. And before this election, we came out and I showed you video that I obtained of voluntary statements from Angelo Brunson, owner of Angelo's Restaurant in Coeur d'Alene, Italian restaurant, when he made voluntary statements to Coeur d'Alene police who were watching these Asian massage parlors, 5 of them total, because of their suspicion of human trafficking taking place. And this is where Dave Riley, you're such a freaking liar, Dave Riley. You rail all the time about human trafficking. And in fact, recently, somebody showed me a clip where you were talking about human trafficking taking place at these massage parlors here in Coeur d'Alene. And yet, you guys all, because he's your buddy, you give him a pass. We're going to listen to about a 3-minute video again to go down memory lane of this guy that the KCRCC, you, Bjorn, your board, you decided to not withdraw his endorsement from your guys' little red flyer. So let's go ahead and play this video.
Safeway. Safeway? How about the massage parlor?
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you in there?
An hour.
Okay. You know how I know that?
No.
Because we're watching that place.
Oh.
So, I'm not too awful concerned about the traffic violation. What I'm trying to do is get more information about the massage parlor. Because I know what goes on at those places.
Yeah. I actually reported it.
Had you?
Yeah.
Then why are you going back in there?
Well, whoever's there now is, I just get in so much pain. I mean, I just literally, like, I go to the chiropractor 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay.
And I just get in so much pain that I've just got to get a massage. It's that bad. I mean, literally, my neck, my sacrum, my iliums, everything.
Okay.
But
You reported this?
I've reported it twice.
To whom?
The Coeur d'Alene police.
So if I was to run your information on my computer, I'll be able to see that you reported what?
I actually met with people at my restaurant. I have Angelo's restaurant.
Yeah, I know.
I met with them and I told them what was going on over there because I went over there.
What's going on there?
What's going on over there, where I just went there, that's not going on.
Oh, it is.
Well,
That's
it's
why
not
we're
going
sitting
on
on
with
it.
me.
Okay.
But they actually ask you, can I massage this?
Massage what?
That.
Penis? So to
They even
manipulate
try to
you,
touch it
sexual
sometimes,
contact, whatever you may
Yeah.
want to call it? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I've been there, so they have some different people in there.
Now?
And yeah,
since when?
probably like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago or a month.
Okay.
But that place up there, I don't go there anymore. They do it to me.
Which place up where?
On 95. They did it like 3 times. They were like 3 times they tried to touch me and ask me and money and everything. Same place at my restaurant. I have Angelo's restaurant.
Oh, I know they park at your restaurant
Right.
right across the street.
Well, I've been in there and I don't go in there anymore because they do the same thing.
Yep.
They touch me and they ask for money, and then that place actually where I went, they've done that before, but I don't do it.
You don't partake?
No, I don't.
Okay.
That's not what I'm there for.
Okay. What other establishments have you?
Well, I went to the one in Post Falls. They do the same thing. They're terrible. They do it like 2 or 3 times. It's like they're upset you don't, want to
Okay.
do that.
What? How much did your massage cost you?
$100. No, it's like I gave her 105 because she's incredible.
Okay.
She
What is the base rate?
the base rate is usually like 70.
Okay. So you give almost 100% tip?
No, I gave her $105. I gave her a $35 tip. I told you why I go.
Okay, so once again, we're talking about these great quality candidates that the KCRCC is just hell-bent that they are taking their position to fill these various offices around the county, all the way from what Angelo right here was running. The position he was running for was the Water Sewer Board. And he even admitted in an interview believe it was with the Inlander, but he doesn't even really know anything about water and sewer. But, hey, and he even said the other lady was more qualified. But this is the shit that Brent Reagan and that horrible vetting rating committee concocts as candidates. They don't care. They just want warm butts of people that will do what they tell them to.
Well,
so Bjorn,
yeah. Yep.
you have a guy not claiming that he actually participated in illegal activities, but anybody that watched our video, the Italian job, way back in April or May of 2025, you hear him, and even Casey Whalen, who's a friend of Angelo, worked for him, I believe. He brought in the fact that Angelo had in 2020 during COVID called him in and said, hey, suspicious activities going on here. But yet, despite all of this, he continued to frequent these locations, several of them. I believe it was 4, if not all 5, that were under suspicion. So we're not claiming that he committed any crimes, but here's what is extremely disturbing. And I want answers from the KCRCC on this, because you guys had ample time to come out and make a statement against human trafficking. Angelo, in his own words, these were all voluntary. Law enforcement was watching these guys come in and out of the massage parlors that they had suspected of human trafficking. Angelo was stopped for a traffic violation. That was the PC for the stop. And then Angelo continues to run his mouth, and he says things like there were young girls in there, 14 years old. He knew that for years that they had tried to touch him, and yet, man, she's really good, and he pays them extra. He pays them tips. And he went back over and over and over and over again, and he concludes by telling that police officer that he was going to have to go to confession because he knew, paraphrasing, that what he was doing wasn't good. He should not be going to these facilities. And we told the world this, KCRCC, Bjorn, we told everybody. You guys knew this. You had an opportunity to do the right thing and say that you stand for human life. You stand for the vulnerable. You stand for those that cannot protect themselves. And for a lowly water and sewer district position, you guys couldn't even sacrifice to say, you know what? We have integrity. You let him on. You continued to support him. You and that foul Brent Reagan, the fake Catholic, the one that believes that he can do no wrong. Protecting another Catholic, right, Brent? This is what we are up against in this county, all of you out there watching. It doesn't matter whether you're evangelical church. It doesn't matter whether you're Catholic. Support of those that abuse children and women is rampant. And you cannot trust your leaders to be watching out for you. You yourself must be vigilant. You must report what's going on to law enforcement. Don't even tell church leadership. Just go directly to law enforcement, because these guys cover it up. They do nothing to protect. In fact, I want to remind you of all the crap going on at Candlelight. When Paul Van Noy acknowledged his daughter Danielle's post of the text that he wrote to her earlier in 2025, where he admitted that deceased Jacob Saldana, when he was 18 years old, broke into his next door neighbor, Paul's house, into Danielle's room and assaulted her. And Paul, rather than call law enforcement, he decided that it was up to him to rehabilitate this predator at his daughter's own expense. And in fact, he allowed this predator access to his house and his yard for many years, continuing to traumatize and to re-victimize his daughter, while this vile individual, this vile human, continued to do work for Paul Van Noy. And I have a police report that I'll be sharing soon, where Jacob Saldana was arrested for putting his hands down the pants of a family member while they were watching TV. We've been told that shortly after this incident that he took his own life, but he had also violated somebody else that had gone to Candlelight. And then we have the associate pastor back in the 90s that admitted that he was having demons in his head tell him to be in love with his stepdaughter. And instead of being kicked off the worship team and quit being the music pastor, no, he wasn't kicked off. Nobody cared about the victim. Nobody cared about Alyssa. Nobody cared when she was raped, and Steve Cooney, Van Noy's really good friend, tried to coerce her into saying, well, this wasn't a random attack. My belief is that they know exactly who it was that violated her.
No, that has been
absolutely.
My belief.
It's my
That's
belief.
Been my belief.
Can't prove that, but it's my belief. And they tried to tell her, well, hey, just admit that it's a boyfriend that you had. She had never had a boyfriend. Or Paul, when he was sexually molesting his sister and sexually abusing her. And what about when he admitted in his own words, do we have that? That he molested his next door neighbor's daughter.
A stupid kid. Hey, come over. I want to see your thing. Let me see it. Nobody knows that I molested my next door neighbor's daughter. Truly. I was a teenager. I was a stupid kid. Hey, come over. I want to see your thing. Let me see it.
The hiring of a level 3 sex offender from California that abused children or a child came up and was allowed to work at Candlelight, to run around the church. And by the way, eventually an unsuspecting woman married him without knowing the history. Paul didn't bother to disclose it. And then when she found out that this fraudulent marriage had taken place and wanted a divorce, Paul said, oh, use scripture, beat her over the head. You know what? You can't divorce. He's saved. He's washed in the blood. Well, what about the wrong, the sin of him not disclosing to her what he had done? And then you have the former youth pastor who we have been told right after he had been caught sexually assaulting his niece, then took his own life, kept that under the carpet. We're going to be bringing this to light very soon so you all can see 4 suicides have taken place in the past 10 years around Candlelight and their youth group. Paul Van Noy admitted that there is somebody in the congregation, look around, you won't know, but I know. Registered sex offender, did things in an adult bookstore, and he runs around and nobody knows. Don Bradway, the coward that he is, the survivalist wannabe, Mr. Silver-tongued smooth talker, he won't hold Paul accountable because you know what? Then he'll take away from his fame and glory as well. But this is the stuff Don Bradway, NRA board member, if he still is a part of. Won't hold anybody accountable. And then lastly, Dawna showed you several weeks ago this brand new chapter of Turning Point USA Faith Hub. You have Stephanie Fetzer and her daughters that are out, advertising for this at tables. And next to, is it Jeff Newfield? I forget who the youth pastor is.
That is, yeah.
The youth pastor. And right next to him is another recent registered sex offender.
Ian Shodman.
No, protecting the sheep. If you go to a local church, my advice to you is don't think that you, and especially don't think that your children are safe, because there's something going on when we have provided all of this evidence and resources, and no pastors will call Paul out. What does that tell you that these pastors are doing themselves, or political power players? What about Brent Reagan? Hey, Brent, when Paul split with you to promote Dan Gookin for mayor of Coeur d'Alene against the KCRCC, what does that mean to you? You're not going to hold him accountable? I mean, what's your political arguments? Is it only on the things that kind of are surface don't matter. And let's ask Mayor Gookin now why it was when I received my records request that we found out that after I had produced a video and records of law enforcement right after Danielle, right around Thanksgiving, had dropped her famous post when we all got a chance to know who she is and what was going on, your concern was to meet with the chief and the captain to discuss the timing of my records request. And I don't buy your argument, Dan, when you say that it was just a concerned citizen wanting to know how some record requests go faster than others. That could be handled over an email. It can be handled over a phone call. No, I believe that what you were doing was you were attempting to find out and run cover for Paul Van Noy and Stephanie Fetzer and all the Candlelight people that helped put you over top to win the mayoral race. Don't trust anybody in any of these churches. You have to protect yourself. This is where we are right now. That is my firm belief.
And, I would say it is by no mistake that you ran a race for sheriff in the last election. You have a sitting sheriff who says human trafficking isn't taking place in this county, pivots to some other answer about online predators and how your children are at risk to take your attention away from that. You have Paul Van Noy, who we have on audio talking about how closely connected he is with Bob Norris. He was never going to make, have any other choice for sheriff because Bob Norris is his friend. And he has been caught on audio saying he has always, quote, always done everything that I have asked him to do. Mm-hmm. It is by no mistake, again, follow this logically, that in that same meeting that has been caught on tape, you have Davalu Cummings, who's former Homeland Security
special agent
and specializing in human trafficking and sex crimes against children. How is a woman who has done this for her entire career, who I can say, as I've heard her speak, is skillful, intelligent, and I have zero doubt was very good at her job. That is the compliment to Davalu Cummings. So it is not lost on me that as she sat in that meeting with Paul Van Noy, she knew exactly what she was doing. And there is no part of me that has the belief that she is buying this from the current sitting sheriff that human trafficking doesn't exist in this county. That's my belief, as Dan would say, his belief. That is my personally held belief that there is no way she is not aware of this, does not see it.
She needs to be called on the carpet and she needs to start explaining things immediately. And you, again, Bjorn, KCRCC, she's embedded with you guys. What in the hell is going on? You guys claim that you're all concerned about federal intrusion. What is going on with her? Why is she allowed to be embedded in every facet of the Kootenai County Republican Central Committee and its auxiliaries?
Well, and when you understand what's coming out now, it cannot be by mistake.
It isn't.
It cannot be by mistake. And when you take these chain of events and you boil them down that simply all the way then to what we discovered, how does this always somehow tie back to vulnerable people being at risk, which then how does that then equal human trafficking? When you think about the broad definition of what falls under human trafficking, it is impossible that it does not exist in this county. So why do you have a sheriff that's denying its existence, surrounded by people who have done this for careers? Why are they here? What are they doing when they have to have that knowledge? And then it is by no mistake.
Or maybe she's a DEI hire. Maybe she was so shitty at what she did. She has no skills. She was just fine. Like Sandy Brewer. She was just promoted through DEI.
Sandy Brewer, I believe. I think I tripped on a sprinkler spigot the other day.
You better sue somebody.
I tripped on it the other day. So didn't see that one coming. But you might be right. I disagree. I think she is actually, you're throwing it out there. I know you're throwing it out there, but my opinion is she is a highly intelligent woman. She knows exactly
we
what's
need
going
to know
on.
if she's still on the payroll of Homeland Security, if she's a contractor for somebody, and if she's ratting people out. I mean, embedding herself in prepper groups, the KCRCC, Candlelight, Remember, Paul talked about his best friend, Todd Engel, that he led to the Lord. Todd Engel from the Bundy Ranch, the Bundy standoff, the Mailer Refuge standoff. So what is Dave Alou actually doing?
Well, yeah, and then in conclusion of what my long-winded, where I'm going with this is, it's by no mistake that these people revealed themselves, and that human trafficking or the lack of protection or the vulnerable was the common thread through your campaign. Fast forward then to information being released from Paul Van Noy's daughter about what occurred that a couple of decades, however many decades ago. She's still relatively young. So what you can then conclude from corroborating statements and other witnesses that have come forward, and many who we have now spoken with, the common thread between the altar church and the Candlelight church. And what is that common thread? What does it continue to come back to? Abuse, sex abuse, using really the abuse of religion to control people, and the cover up of abuse from pastors that are friends with the current sheriff.
And remember, Tim Remington, in his own words, was defending how some girls, Jezebel spirits, kind of, bring it upon themselves to be raped by 30-year-old men when they're 15. So you're not gonna get by with that, Tim, from me. Yeah. And by the way, all of the same actors that were spreading disinformation, they ran a disinformation team during the campaign. Complete lies.
Yeah.
Well, I've got something special coming up for you guys. I've been spending hundreds of dollars to local municipalities for records requests, because you guys claim that, I have no proof of things. Well, we're working one right now where you have somebody that's surrounded very closely with Paul, a married couple.
Oh, dear. Oh, my.
We're going to be playing the results of what we're finding out, but let me just give you a little teaser. Registered to vote by county's own records in 2024. One is living at a home that is also known as a halfway house in the county. Wife is living at another location. Now, there's either fraud going on with voter registration and addresses, or there's something going on where one of the spouses is living at a verifiable halfway house. When we get the conclusion of it, we're going to bring you all of the receipts so that you can see firsthand. And by the way, Dan Wilson puts his money where his mouth is. And I do this for the community because the local law enforcement agencies, for the most part, aren't going to give us this stuff, but I'll pay for it like I have $500 last week to get the accurate record so that you guys can hear exactly what many of these surrounding Paul and Tim and others are really up to in their private lives.
Yeah, when you're doing legal public records requests or gleaning information that is already public, and we're looking to see who you are because we're on the receiving end of your harassment, that is not the definition of stalking. Something we're probably going to talk a little bit more about here in a minute.
Let's do it. Let's roll into it.
It is wild to me how much of what we're finding leads back to my belief, things that would fall under the category of human trafficking. That's what I have to say.
But it doesn't exist in Kootenai County, according to Bob Norris, 30-year veteran of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, who's on $190,000 disability retirement, plus his $140,000 he makes from being sheriff of Kootenai County. But I guess he's probably going to need it all with the civil lawsuits that are pending.
We had some very lovely comments from Noel Van Noy, daughter of Paul Van Noy, Danielle's sister. And she has come out really since about the exact moment that Danielle released her statements, letting the public know of the abuse that was covered up when she was a minor, and looking to her dad, Paul Van Noy, for answers on that. Noel has been very active in coming out not only to discredit her sister, but also to scream very loudly, singing her dad, Paul Van Noy's praises and all of the good that he has done, and telling us in her attempt to share with the public why Danielle's statements are just fabricated, false, and misrepresented. So there's that. That's the backstory on Noel. She doesn't really have much of a platform of her own other than what would be her personal profile on Facebook. So the modus operandi has been to come into the comment section on our pages and platforms to disseminate what she's doing. Kind of reached a pinnacle the other day, maybe it was over the weekend, and we got this lovely comment that was directed toward me. I had...
By the way, we got to give a disclaimer because we're going to start saying some extremely...
thank you. Go ahead.
Rated X type of language.
Yeah, this
sexual
is,
in nature.
Yeah, you're exactly. I appreciate that because I did mean to do that. This is so vile that if you have sensitive ears in the room, or vile language is going to be offensive to you, now's the time to mute it or walk away. So we had Noel. I knew I was going to do that with the girls' names, but Noel left this comment because I had produced a getting everybody up to speed. Here's where this began in the events surrounding Paul Van Noy and the accusations that have been made, what has been provable. And I produced and published a video, a quick summary on that last week. And so this was a response from Noelle Andrews, who's formerly Noel Van Noy.
Emerson, Van Noy, whatever
it is. So she said, Dawna, I have questions. What brand strap-on do you use on Dan? 2, does he make you call him Pastor Paul when you're giving it to him? 3, do you just say, quote, you're the law to get Dan off? 4, do you want to meet with me face to face? Could be an easy way to get me arrested if I act up. I mean, I'm offering you a gift. 5, why are you scared to talk to me and meet in a public place? 6, do we both know the answer to the question above? LOL. Let it be noted that you refuse to interact with me at all. You do not know me. And if you were truly investigating and concerned in any amount, you would want all sides of the story. So I woke up to that comment one morning and I thought, well, isn't that just...
Well, I think it's a reflection of what Paul has raised, as I've alluded to. In probably the next week or so, we are going to bring out all of the many police reports involving not only Joel, who's equally as vile, Joel Van Noy, but also Noel. And we talked about this last week, that Paul did not want to press charges when he was attempting to evict her from the home, and then she broke a window, threw a rock through it, because he was worried that it was going to cost him if she was to get charged with a crime.
Yeah.
And Paul has enabled, and Brenda has enabled, apparently, these kids, because here they are adults and they act like snot-nosed little brats that need a good wallop on the ass. And this is the teaching of the lead pastor of Candlelight. You know, the one that says that he's here to protect everybody, that he's everybody's shepherd, and it's his job to protect those. And he'll go on and he'll lecture you, and I've listened to him. He lectures a lot of you that are attending Candlelight and your behavior. Well, where is his controlling his adult children? At what point do you say, I have adult children, and you better believe that if I told them right now, shut your mouth about something? In fact, they have not engaged on, after seeing all the horrendous lies that their mother and Stephanie Fetzer and others have continually promoted online. And I've told them, do not get involved. Do not engage. We're not going to be white trash. And what you're seeing is, this is white trash behavior. This is what Paul and Brenda Van Noy taught their children to do, while they're telling all of you that are in their congregation how you're supposed to live. And in fact, even the way his children have behaved their entire lives, both as juveniles with records, but as adults, whether it's assaulting and attempting strangulation of Brenda, or when Brenda was told by one of her boys, suck my cock. These are vile individuals. You are disqualified just by your children's behavior alone from being a pastor. But you know what? Paul and all you other goody, we are the most pious, godly pastors around, and only us know the special message because we have higher authority from God. You will always have your workaround as to why it's okay for you guys to violate scripture while everybody else has to adhere to it.
And to extend this even further, because this gets, you have to think of the psychology behind this. What came from Noel, not even 24 hours later after that original
this
post.
Is classic.
So she said, all right. I'm not going to take my comment down because what's the point? I posted it. It's a done deal. Of course, that's a disclaimer.
She was getting blowback from a lot of people telling her, what are you doing? Yes,
even ones that have been supportive of the Van Noy family. I think that was a moment for them where they're like, okay, you took this way too far. So she knew she needed to come back and do damage control and say something, but it was pointless to take it down because she also knows we live in a world where we've already got all the screenshots. So she says, I will say this, I'm sorry, that was my anger and flesh, not something that would please Jesus. I'll choose to pray for you today, Dawna. Jesus loves you as much as he loves me. So I will choose to love you also. Please accept my apology. Mm-hmm. Now, what makes me sick about this is that that statement was not the first instance of Noel
being vile,
being absolutely
and
vile.
Joel too.
Joel and Noel, foul, disgusting, in the gutter language. And you could say, you know what, to their defense, their dad's being attacked, heinous things have come out. It's been an embarrassment to the whole family, so let them speak their piece and have their time. But in the absence of Paul Van Noy releasing statements and providing proof to the contrary, to discredit what's being said, he's in Maui.
Yeah.
And has either chosen to remain silent, or he's now on a 2-week-long vacation. And in his stead, you know for a fact that he knows he's got two of these, and really 3 of his children commenting, because Paul Jr. has done it too, just not necessarily on our page. But he, like Dan said, he's not telling them, shut your mouth.
Which he has no control over his children,
I mean,
a father that has a good relationship with his children can advise them and say, I am the dad of the family. I'm the patriarch, if you will. Follow my lead, my leadership. Shut your mouths.
I mean, just this alone right here should be such a wake-up call to people that they can't even release a professional statement, not even a biblical response necessarily, but even a professionally written response. The only thing that Paul Van Noy has come up with is an ever-changing story, and then ultimately it was changing so rapidly that he's letting his adult children do that, and then in this vile way. But so this idea that this is what was more unfortunate when Noel, she retracts, attempts to retract that statement, and now she's praying for me.
Yeah, I don't want your satanic prayers, Noel.
And
your father, Satan.
And she had good-meaning people in the comments after she comes back with this apology and talking about prayers. I know that they were well-meaning people.
No,
they're
they're not well-meaning. You're spiritually immature. Give me a break.
Well,
the vileness of what she was saying, and you're going to go in because she was coerced by the community into, why would you say this? And by the way, she didn't take that post down. She just said, well, it's already there. I can't do anything about it. Oh, that took such courage, Noel. No, it didn't.
Well, that
it didn't take any courage. You guys that are sitting here defending her, get real.
Well, yeah, if that got lost in there, what happened was you had people following Noel's comment to say, that was a really great thing that you did, and it showed such humility and how appreciated that was. And I thought, how great is this that Dan and I have made every effort to take the high road, and every single thing that we've released, we have done it in excellence and with the utmost professionalism. We have taken digs, we have taken hits, there have been vile, disgusting things said about us, accusations that
Defamation.
we want to defend. It having to do with family matters, and it's blatantly false. And everything in me, every part of the human and reflexive side of my being wants to defend that and produce the proof. But then we realize, look, this isn't Jerry Springer hour. That's not what we're here to spend so much time boring you with defending family matters and lies and falsehoods that are airing out online about us. Because after all, that's what they want. They want that distraction. And we guarantee you that every single one of those things that is roaming around through this handful of 10 or 20 people that wants the worst for us in this situation because we are exposing evil and we've done it with proof. Every single one of those things are false. A couple of them we are going to address tonight. But to Noel, I don't buy it. There is nothing about that is a genuine apology. It is religious. You're using biblical words and stuff that on a reflex you've been taught since you were a little girl, things that, yes, you should live. You don't live them. You know how to speak them. You know what to say, but there is nothing about that comes from a repentant heart because the vileness continues to flow. It continues. And then I'm going to end this because I'm going to bring up one more part of this over on commenting under one of her brother Joel's posts. Everything we've done has been through a legal process. This is not the definition of stalking. We are compelled to go up and look at legal records because when you have out of control adult children of Paul Van Noy harassing and being vile on our platforms, it is our duty to go find the information necessary to counteract this vile behavior, to say that the public deserves to know who these people are and who raised them.
Yeah.
So to this, Noel says, again, this is all bull. I'm actually looking forward to them showing off my sin because I get to brag about Jesus all the more. Makes me want to vomit.
Yeah.
Noel says in another comment, the Bible says it's not what goes into your mouth that defiles you, but what comes out. I'm guilty of both. All the more thankful to him. Nothing I can do to defile myself is greater than God's finished work. That's the gospel, and it really pisses off the demons. I'm going to leave it at that. There's more.
I think Noel has a demon that is surrounding her.
Again, this is not a person who's demonstrated. There has been no demonstrated change in her life.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this. Every one of you that have stated and have posted your lies about me, the most heinous, accusing me of rape, it has been captured and there is a reckoning coming. Preserve your documents. You better lawyer up because it's going to be coming your way very, very soon.
That is one of the reasons that we had stated if you are not brave enough to make those kind of heinous accusations and do it under your own name, and you've created burner accounts or using alternate pages like Black Tie Maintenance or whatever you are, we know you are Joel, you are going to be blocked. But if you want to suffer the forthcoming consequences by making those sorts of accusations, because that's how bad it has gotten, and there is no evidence because it does not exist, you're going to end up defending yourself in court. So at bare minimum, we're going to force you to do it under your own name.
We've had this continual theme of those that will lie. The girls have come in. They've run their mouths. We're gonna talk about the girls, Dad Tom, son Bradford, and Jeremiah that have been running their mouths. We're going to talk about them and why it is that they have come out and have worked overtime to spread defamation and to flat out lie. But there are others that have also done this. And they continually, you guys are all a bunch of losers. You claim that there's no evidence, that it's just rhetoric. Bullshit. We've produced it. You can watch every one of our episodes. We have provided firsthand account witnesses. We have provided audio of Paul in his own words. Remember, I didn't start this. It started out when Paul Van Noy lied. And if any of you have proof otherwise, show it. There isn't one freaking evidence that I ever asked Paul Van Noy for an endorsement. Like, you all want to say that this is because Paul didn't endorse me. Pound sand. I've already shown you that I sent him one email. He never responded, and I left it alone. Show me a record, Paul Van Noy, of my phone contacting you, trying to ask you specifically to come back and to talk with Dan Wilson, or an email. You're not going to find it because Dan Wilson has a code and a creed, and I don't beg people, nor did I ever ask for one freaking endorsement during the campaign. This is started because of the bravery of a young woman who knew that something was wrong. She had courage. She recorded this conversation where Paul Van Noy continually lied and spread rumors about me and gossip, claiming that I had an affair with you. And let's call the record straight for what it is. Dawna and I got together after my divorce, when my ex-wife was removed by law enforcement and not allowed to go back to our home. And I was granted an order of protection for me and my children. And my ex-wife was ordered to surrender her firearms and to undergo court-ordered supervision. And I was given majority custody of our minor children. These are the things that you guys are lying about.
And you have legal documents to back that up.
I got them all day long. But you liars, because you're too freaking lazy and you're just liars, you won't produce those records. And you won't ask yourself, why was a father given custody, including of a disabled child, in the state of Washington? Why won't you do it? No, you want to continue run your mouth and you want to continually state things that are completely false. We have brought the receipts many times, and you want to continue your lies, like Matt Smith. Matt Smith is probably one of the biggest diarrhea of the mouth individuals, somebody who thinks he's much more important than he is.
Bradford, shut up.
What's Bradford saying?
I've just had enough of it. You are a pipsqueak.
Yeah.
What
You're
is,
a project engineer. You're a nobody. You're an absolute nobody. You live in a home that's 800 square feet in California. By the way, the girls, let's talk about the girls. Let's talk about the girls.
Hold on. You're just a stalker.
The girls who've been running their mouths, Dad Tom runs a online academy, Keystone Academy in Orange County, California, for homeschoolers so they can get their diploma. And he has moved some of his assets up here. In fact, let's go to our slide. I want to show this while we're here.
Yeah, just remind me what the slide is.
I think it is let's go to page 6. So what we're looking at here, once Dawna pulls it up, is the assessor's office. How many properties Dad, Tom Girl, who is a massive defender of Paul Van Noy, these are his properties. Did you find that slide? It's my original slide.
Oh, here. Okay, sorry. These can be a little.
I know. I'm glad it's not me doing it.
Sorry about that. Yep.
So we have 3 properties. We're not even talking about his other children that own some other properties here in Kootenai County, but these are 3 properties that Tom Girl owns right here, even though his records show that he's not taken any homeowner exemptions. So the assumption would be that he is currently living in California. Maybe he intends to move up here. The second page, if you'll move to the second page real quick. Notice that all of his mailing address for all of his tax assessments are going to Long Beach, California, off of Halbright. And then our last page, I'm going to show you, and we've blurred out a bunch, but there's only 3 people by the name of Girl that are registered to vote in Kootenai County. And so it was very interesting to us when the girls came out, GERL, and started vehemently supporting Paul Van Noy. After all the allegations, after everything that we had dropped, and he continues with his pipsqueak sons, because you're nobody. You are hiding behind your dad who supports and buys your properties. You're nothing. You think that you're going to run your mouth because you're really hot shit while you're down in California, and you are posting because you work in California at Bradford. Your brother, Bronson, that lives here, that works for the Post Falls School District, at least he keeps his mouth shut because he doesn't want to piss in his own backyard, but you can do it from afar. Why are you guys so tied in to Paul Van Noy? And you can make your accusations all you want, and you can lie and continue perpetrating the same lies that have been going around. So we ask the question, does the girl family in any way, shape, or form have any kind of business relations with Candlelight Church or its congregation or any other churches here locally? Because it is abnormal for these large homeschool families to double down when we have shown you credible evidence that sin is taking place at Candlelight, and yet you little mouth runner, continue to run your bullshit. You continue to be your keyboard warrior, you wet behind the ears nothing. Why? What's going on? Why are these people here coming from Norwalk, by the way, which is where Norris ran the substation for the Kootenai County, or for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office? It's unnatural. The amount of fighting that they have brought into this and support is unnatural. Why are foreigners from out of state defending Paul Van Noy to the extent that they are?
You gotta, Dan asked the question, and this is one I did earlier in the week. And no, I am not going to have a personal back and forth, because you have been nothing but vile and cavalier, uninformed, zero evidence, making very public comments relentlessly and on our public forums.
And you're part of the defamation, brother.
That does not deserve or warrant some type of personal back and forth, because it's now nonsensical. That's not a fight that I started or that Dan started. This is one that you created.
Yep.
And then you're going to turn around and attempt to be some kind of solution to win what? So the question's out there: what kind of business dealings, profit or nonprofit, with Candlelight, Paul Van Noy, or any auxiliary organizations or any associations to his network, which we now know and have exposed as being vast? Because there is no other reason for the unnatural, abnormal, I'm going to annihilate Dan and Dawna Wilson, because what have we done? We have brought facts, evidence, Paul in his own words, Paul in his own writings, witness statements. Are you going to go so far as to say that they're just making up abuse? None of that ever happened. We've run records requests. We pulled reports.
What have you guys done?
We have photos of sexual offenders on the registry. Everything we have been transparent and forthright about.
Pedo supporters, sexual abuse supporters are the girl family from Orange, California, from I think it's Long Beach. Then we have this comment from Casey Kraft.
She's also been relentless.
Yeah,
she owns a couple million, $2.5 million property doing what she's doing. So whatever you're feeding off of for Paul Van Noy,
what happens after this is said and gone? Are you going to have anything else to report on? We are, because of people like you. We've had a lot to talk about for the past year. Why are you supporting those that abuse innocent people? Why are you putting your name out here for everybody in this community to see that you support abuse and zero accountability? Are you a heathen, or do you claim faith? And if you have faith, then justify through faith, through the scripture, why you can have the position that you have.
What is even the point of this comment? You have nothing to add to it. Again, did Paul Van Noy, did he or did he not, in his own words, in audio tape that is authenticated as him because he tried to come back and spin it, him and his voice and what he said, did he or did he not molest a neighbor's daughter when he was a teen. I understand he came back and tried to say, oh, that was just young childhood exploration. That is not what he said. And you don't accidentally use the word molest. You don't do it. So what is your answer to that? What is your answer to his response to his daughter, Danielle, where he is authenticating her statements by saying he knows that further abuse happened because he failed to protect her, which means what? He failed to report. He can go around and change that situation. And he tried to do it through his Joel, his son Joel, and his daughter Noel, to say that, we're going to alter the ages of the children. And it was just an attempted molestation. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Mm-hmm. So Casey, keep running your mouth, because I don't know what it is you're trying to defend, but it does not look good. And that is not going to end well. It obviously matters. It matters now. Yeah. Like the immediate connection that you have to Van Noy and whatever you're trying to protect. I understand that it matters now. That's been made very clear. That is not going to end well.
Yeah. So if you want a target on your back, keep running your mouths, and we're going to do what all good citizens should be when there happens to be no leadership. No leadership from the KCRCC, no leadership from other churches, no leadership from law enforcement. So we are going to do this. And you know what, Casey, one day we may pop smoke. That's what happens when you have an independently wealthy individual, that I'm not dependent on anybody to pay my bills. We do this because morally we are convicted to do what is right, like many of you that are watching. And it's up to all of you to learn the skill sets. It's not that hard to go out and start saying, what are these people's history? Usually people that defend other offenders and criminals have a criminal background themselves, kind of like the individual that was living at the halfway house.
Yeah. And
their criminal activity.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's you're not going to rattle us. And
Casey
I've got lots of fight.
There's a couple of pages on Facebook you can go join, because you'll be in happy company with the rest of the white trash. So those will be easy enough to find, because the same ones who are the other detractors, and they're all familiar names, go join the pages that they follow where they talk about their trailer trash and falsehoods with zero legal evidence to back up anything.
You can't bring anything. All you can do is run your mouth. That's all you are, is you're professional shit spewers, because instead of actually being objective people that can look at evidence and read it for yourself, now you're just going to continue to throw shade, because that's what your heart is. It's a reflection of who you are, a vile, evil individual.
How about now, as we choose to spend a bit of time defending ourselves, now we're the crazy cuckoo ones because we got a little bit defensive?
No, I'm not.
We all know
sorry
how that
about
goes.
Being defensive at all. There's times, anybody that's done martial arts, there's times to be defensive. There's times to be offensive. My default is action beats reaction every single time. You have to be offensive on the offense, rather. And that is what we do in order to protect the innocent among us. And this is a problem throughout this county of people that are abusing children and women and exploiting them and laughing it off. Oh, but by the way, you hypocrites, release the Epstein files. What's going on? We're 26 days past when the DOJ is supposed to release it. We know Epstein didn't kill himself. And all you hypocrites have your very own Epstein Island bullshit going on here right now. And you refuse to have the same outrage. Why? Because it might be somebody you know.
Yeah, it hurts your bottom line. It'll hurt your reputation.
It'll mess up your progressive dinners that you have with your church assembly.
No, it hurts whatever investment you made in a roller skating rink or the showboat or whatever it is you're connected to. Whatever the next business venture is. All right, what's the... we got another one, because this person has clearly worked very hard to get our attention. I think I said something to a similar effect. Oh, first I want to tell you, you can text messages right now if you want a little more anonymity to 208-366-4671. I'm enjoying seeing those coming through from you guys. So if you want to participate in the program that way, and if it's a question or comment that you want shared on the air, I will not disclose your name. We can do that more anonymously at 208-366-4671.
I just poured some more of this fine bourbon that my son gave to me for Christmas. I have good sons. They buy their dad whiskey.
Oh yeah, we're
brothers bond.
little wound up tonight because we've taken
we're not wound up.
some hits and kicks of our own over the last month and a half. And when you know that we have worked tirelessly to give voices to these victims who in some of these cases have been silenced for decades. And you start to understand why, because it's such a network of power and control and religious control being used toward that, with connections to law enforcement and the sheriff's office. You can understand why young girls at the time that these things happened would not have a voice. They would have been silenced. So we thank them for their bravery. And I know Dan would be the first one to say he'll take the hits. He'll stand on the front lines for your behalf. So yes. Matt Smith and Bradford Girl,
they're lightweights. Crying out loud. They're annoyances. They're like pests.
Oh, and I think I saw a comment on one of the pages. That was the other thing in my document that I skipped. But you had Shauna Tiddens McFarland.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for just having a name like that.
She's been a common thread throughout some of this because she's on the white trash Jerry Springer pages, because the 10 of them that all have their beefs with Dan and want to laugh and do their memes and spread your crap. You're in good company with each other. So any of you that we want to like move over into that like trailer trash category, we know where we have referrals. Mm-hmm. We have referrals. But Shauna Tiddens McFarland said that she would buy tickets to watch you and Keith Bowe debate.
Really? Sure. Let's go. Let's go, Keith. Let's go have a debate.
I know Keith is a very expert food tester, mm-hmm. and like rates and vets and votes on hot dogs, sausages, and pizzas at the fair. Mm-hmm. So I know you have a lot of talent there. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that would stand up very well in a live debate against Dan Wilson. So Shauna Tiddens McFarland, I will raise you one and say, not only would I buy a ticket to see that debate, I'd buy out like the whole first 2 rows of whatever event play, where that would take, the venue where that would take place. I will buy out the whole first 2 rows because I want a front row seat to that. So I'll raise you one of your ticket. All right, this guy.
Oh, Tom Girl, hold on. Tom Girl, let's show the idiot himself.
He
claims that he was a ranger, but this is a first-class coward. Regardless if he wore the uniform, he's an outright coward because he stands to protect those that harm women and children. Wannabe protector, it's a complex. Wears the black star hat, mall cop. I know the type. I know your type. Your type are swindlers. Your type are those that prey on others in your multi-level marketing. You are the type that goes along with those that you think have influence because you yourself want to have relevance in your life. And you think that you're going to dupe, and you probably have duped all these people with your online academy down there in California.
All right, this is something that I can speak on Dan's behalf because he didn't take selfies in his patrol car, not his style. And so for all those of you that want to say mall cop, the reason that it is so vile and disgusting to me is because that you're talking about my man, the one that I hold in high regard, and I know exactly his heart for law and order and to protect the innocent and chase bad guys, and what he sacrificed in his life to make this happen. And for 12 years between the departments in Spokane and then in Liberty Lake, he did all of the same work with the same risk and responsibility, wearing the uniform when he was on patrol, single car status. This is him. It's your
swearing in
ceremony in Spokane. And I'm going to throw up a couple of more pictures because you're just going to keep regurgitating the same bullshit. Now I'm going to get in trouble from pastor because now I'm swearing.
I don't care. I'm over it.
You're regurgitating the same bullshit, and you want to say you are a ranger, and you disgust me because you take a man who sacrificed 12 years of his life taking on that risk and responsibility, performing the functions, showing up to, some of the lingo I don't have, with the certifications, doing qualifications, in many times investing in your own equipment that maybe wasn't supplied by the department to make sure that you had the best of the best. If anything, I would argue that you trained more than the guys you worked alongside.
Many, especially at Liberty Lake.
Because that is what you were compelled to do. It was never just another job in your career, but it is something that while running successful companies over the course of 12 years, he did the patrol, took the risk, and gave back to his community to the tune of over $250,000 doing that.
Yeah, and here you have Tom Girl running his mouth again against somebody that wore the uniform and didn't get paid, unlike you, that you were paid, and you probably actually served when there was no conflict.
Do you still want to buy this? Do you still want to buy Mall Cop? There's Dan Wilson in uniform. There was him at the swearing in. Here's Dan Wilson in his patrol car at Liberty Lake. Here, you want to know the other lie? That the guys he worked with didn't like him or that he was fired. I want to say you were offered full-time positions actually on at minimum a couple of different occasions.
Spokane PD and Liberty Lake PD.
So not only not fired, but received awards, was Rookie of the Year in his first year in Spokane, was offered full-time positions, but there was a reason that he wanted to do this job, not because he couldn't qualify, not because he couldn't do it, but for the love of the people in the community and to give back. And you are pathetic and disgusting to then go and disparage his service. Would you do that to a volunteer firefighter? Would you do it to a reserve? Would you do it to any other guy that's deployed, but they're not paid, they couldn't hack it, they must not live up to it? No, he didn't suck off the government's tit. That's what he didn't do. And then that's what you guys, that's going to be your focus. That's your argument. All this stuff that's being exposed about the deviant behavior of Paul Van Noy, you're doing nothing but serving to distract from that by trying to discredit him. It's not working. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, we were going to play the fool.
I'm
Matt
playing
Smith.
the fool.
Are you going to do it?
I'm playing the fool.
Okay, this is one of Van Noy's biggest supporters.
We won't end the show tonight until we play the fool.
Want to know what the Ku Klux Klan looks like in North Idaho? Go check out this guy. He calls himself the Idaho Sheriff. Now, he brands himself as liberty without compromise, but all he does is go after Christians and pastors and their families and their children as well. It's a modern day version of the Ku Klux Klan. So if you want to just go get a good laugh, go check out the guy they call the Idaho Sheriff. And remember, he's not a sheriff. He lost the election, and he was never a real police officer. He was never in real law enforcement. Go check him out.
Thanks for the promo.
Thanks for being a fool.
Thanks for the promo, Matt Smith.
Ku Klux Klan, huh? Well, Matt, at least I don't call law enforcement when you show up to a showing and get bit in the ass. Oh, wait, it wasn't actually bit in the ass. You got scratched by a dog and a dachshund and want to report to law enforcement because you showed up when you weren't supposed to a showing at a trailer. Or should we talk about the property that was defaced? The no trespassing signs that were pulled out. I mean, you know, you guys are stupid. You're going to run your mouths. We've got your own criminal history. We've got the things that you were engaged by law enforcement with to show exactly the type of people that you really are. You were the type of guy in law enforcement that we hated because you continually called law enforcement over bullshit things. Or shall we talk about your family member who you refuse to help that has mental issues that's living on the street? I mean, if you're going to go and you're going to start talking about my family and you're going to lie about me, then why don't we start talking about you and your problems with your family? I'm not going to, but this is more or less a venting session to say, whether it's the girls, whether it's Matt Smith, whether it's Stephanie Fetzer, whether it's Lucky and Aaron Barnard, whether it's Casey Kraft or whoever, I still sleep very well at night. My identity never was in being sheriff. Here's what does motivate me, and it always has. Anybody that has known me is standing up for the most vulnerable and seeking justice. What kind of a ranger were you? I actually had a sergeant that was a ranger, and he was nothing like Tom Girl. I served under some men that saw extreme conflict that would never open their mouths the way Tom Girl does. And I've shown some of these former Rangers and Spec Op guys what Tom says, and they're all unanimous in what they actually think about Tom Girl.
Oh.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Definitely don't need to give any more voice to that. They are clearly on this assignment for a reason. So,
and it's just a matter of time. We'll eventually get to the bottom of it. Let's go to our quote of the week from English philosopher John Locke, 2 Treatises of Government. Founders quoted him more often than anybody else when they wrote the Constitution and argued for it. I have always thought the action of men the best interpreters of their thoughts. So all of you running your mouths and saying the vile things that you're doing, remember, girls, I never came at you. You came at me. Van Noy kids, same thing. All of you. You chose this fight. I won't back down. You've already shown what your heart is like. You can quote scriptures all day long. It says, if we walk in the light as he is in the light, we have fellowship with him. What's your excuse? You want to throw your Christianity and all your pious bullshit? I'll raise you one. Where's the version of you that seeks justice, that actually leads? A ranger should be able to lead and say, you know what, Paul, you may be completely innocent, but because of everything that has come out, I believe and counsel you to step aside and let an investigation take place. But no, you said, I talked to Paul, and in 90 minutes, he gave me everything I wanted to know, and he explained it all. Well, really? Because you know what? In law enforcement, as I've told you, I interviewed people all the time that were guilty, and they would sing how innocent they were all the time. How stupid are you? How many of you guys are sick and tired of what's going on right now? How many of you are outraged that there's no leadership in our churches, in our local political institutions? How many of you are sick and tired of those that are vulnerable being taken advantage of in this month of remembrance of trafficked people? The truth is eventually going to come out. You can't outrun Paul in his gleefulness, bragging about how he molested his next door's neighbor, or his sister, who disclosed that Paul was molesting her for years, his younger sister. And we're going to be talking very soon about the special visit to Thailand that Paul and Brenda made, and with the character, the very Epstein-like billionaire that owned the island that they went to, and everything that was going on there. Paul doesn't realize that there's a trail of everything that he's done. And we're going to be bringing more of those receipts. And you guys need to be asking yourself, why is Paul hanging out with the individuals that he's hanging out while he's all telling you guys what you should and shouldn't be doing?
Some text messages that have come in throughout the program. Again, this number is open anytime. So tips or comments to this number securely, 208-366-4671. Again, that's 208-366-4671. We received a message from somebody that says, I've known Casey Kraft. She commented earlier, and she's been a detractor on her platforms. I've known Casey Kraft very well since the 80s. She has a lot to lose. A little tip on that one. Dan and Dawna, another message. Dan and Dawna, you are right about the girls, Gerls. They appeared out of nowhere. Another text message. Thank you, Dan and Dawna, for bringing this evil to light going on in our community. Thank you for convicting me to stand openly. Okay. Well, he said he's convicted to stand openly and gave his handle and his name.
Who is
so
it?
do you think that's okay to share this? Because that is
sure.
what this message says. So thank you, Nick Payne. We have encouraged people to hop on over to the X platform to follow you. He's at CB Corgi.
Oh, that's CB Corgi?
CB Corgi. Corgi at CBCORGI on X.
Interesting.
And we thank you so much, Nick Payne.
Yeah, thanks.
That is a true man who reached out to some of the other local pastors, part of the Ministerial Association, requesting that they stand against and stand up or make their public statements or do something to hold Paul Van Noy of Candlelight Christian Fellowship, to hold him accountable. And he's met with a lot of stonewalling. So we thank you, Nick Payne, for now in boldness sharing your name. We hold that in very high regard.
I'm going to go over some of these starred questions or comments from the beginning of the show. D Random 89. My question: how does one remodel an old movie theater called the Steamboat and then buy out Skate Plaza? Where did that money come from? Very interesting. We have heard where it has come from. I don't feel like at this time that I can actually disclose that. But remember, if you look at the Idaho Secretary of State, look at how many different entities that Paul Van Noy is called the president of, or the agent of Candlelight Fellowship. There's many auxiliaries.
Yeah, which is officially known as, well, there's a couple of misnomers. One, a church is a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization, and the misnomer is that for profit or nonprofit somehow means that you cannot make a profit, which is completely untrue. That's where we recommend the docuseries The Religion Business, which you can download on Amazon Prime. And we highly encourage you to do that because it educates you in a way that's easy to watch and highly interesting, to where you're like, okay, I want the next episode. And it educates you as to how these churches are structured and then how they get around rules and regulations by creating auxiliary organizations. And Candlelight Christian Fellowship appears to have done just that, because they have quite a number of these.
We actually have the stories from people that were firsthand and close to the purchase of the Skate Plaza. Tom Girl, true men personally confront those they're accusing. I agree with you. So quit being a coward and commenting in the comments and actually do something about it. I mean, that's what you started out with. And when your son begged me in an instant message to not call you a coward months ago, because after all, you were an honorable ranger. To go back to his previous question and crickets, and we're ignoring you. We see it. Why will you, and why or why not meet with Pastor Paul Van Noy? Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Why would, no, say
the question is, why have you not met with Paul Van Noy? Will you meet with Pastor Paul Van Noy?
Well, because apparently I didn't do enough to impress him. I didn't buy a mistake dinner. I didn't make certain to clear my entire calendar to go kiss the ring. As you guys recall, it's Paul in his own words, not only in the audio that was leaked, when he was lying and saying things about me that were similar to what Matt Smith says, calling me a white supremacist. So, what would be the purpose of meeting with Paul?
Well,
so that he can confess to me?
Okay, but so is that just an old...
Well, what would be the
like, do you need
purpose?
to lay down the gauntlet, and you're just like, you're rubbed the wrong way about that, so there's no way.
No, he's the one that set that in motion. I wouldn't spit on him if he was on fire.
Okay.
I have nothing to say to him. All I'm going to do is to continue to expose everything that he's involved with that is unrighteous, that is evil, and that is wrong. I
would argue further that Paul Van Noy, in his own words, has been in ministry for 4 decades, 40 years. And we have traced back through family testimonial that every bit of his time in ministry has been, and from his childhood, tracing back to his childhood, has been littered with deviant behavior. And there is always the common thread of sexually deviant behavior. He has had 4 decades to right the wrongs. So we are past the point of if you have a guy who victims have come to because we've built that trust and we have a voice in a community, and they have come here because they can share that story and feel that they are no longer defenseless. We don't have a responsibility to now, after 4 decades of Van Noy's deviant behavior that he has had the ability to repent and correct at any point along the way, has chosen not to do that for his own reasons of personal gain that I guarantee over the weeks to come will continue to be exposed, because the more we're learning, the darker that black hole gets.
And we have the receipts, Tom. We have the receipts, girls.
We have no responsibility. Dan has no responsibility toward meeting with Paul Van Noy.
Well, not only that, I don't meet with men I don't respect, and he lost my respect so long ago. Again, I don't owe him shit.
Were there any more comments?
Yeah, let's look at this one. Are you interviewing any guardian parents of trafficked teenagers regarding any contributions they have made monetary to Pastor Paul? Any paper trail of monetary transactions of the pastor? Look, we are interviewing many people.
Yeah.
There isn't enough hours in the day to be able to meet everyone. We had a 2-hour conversation on Sunday night. We had another conversation yesterday. And the part of it is that we are doing our due diligence to verify what they're saying to us as being accurate before we're going to release it. But remember, folks, that the Coeur d'Alene police investigation is still underway. Now, there may be nothing that's found. They may find out statutorily there is nothing, but I'm going to be very, very interested in the final report once it's released. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a conviction or not, that report is going to spell out exactly the actions of what Paul did. And some of these the statute of limitations may be too long, but ask yourself again, why are you guys, if we clear the entire table, girls, you have daughters, don't you, Tom? Would you allow your daughter to be sexually abused in her own room and then stay silent? Would you, Tom? Answer the one freaking question. Answer it. Would you? Clear everything else out. This all started when Danielle released her grievances against her father and published the text message that her father sent her. And remember, Paul himself authenticated that, including Todd Engel, Jacob Saldana, and others. Let's not forget when we go back down to the basics of what started all of this. So yes, we are interviewing all sorts of people. Just making you think, who is working at Skate Plaza? Are they true or something else? Because Paul hired people because they deserve a second chance to protect children who don't go to Skate Plaza. We heard from a very credible firsthand account that after Skate Plaza was purchased, the level 3 sex offender from Spokane County that is a roller skate instructor, a pro, I think is what they told us, was allowed to work at Skate Plaza despite the fact that it was brought to Paul's attention that this person was a sex offender. And by the way, those of you that let your children go to the monthly dances, Danielle and the gang at Skate Plaza, I would tell you at this point, from everything I know, don't let your kids go to this, because you have no idea who Candlelight and Paul Van Noy, under his extremely poor leadership, is allowing to attend these functions. Let's see this next one. Is it your belief that Paul or Pastor Rand is running a cult? Absolutely, he's running a cult. When the people, look, let's lay something down right here. God is no respecter of persons. There is nobody superior when it comes to the gospel of Jesus Christ, when it comes to the body. None. There's only one, and that is Jesus Christ himself. No pastor is greater, even though we have Paul stating in his own words, go on my X and you can hear it, where he says, we're not on the same plane as those that we shepherd. You can hear Paul again in his own words. He's an elitist. He thinks because he is a shepherd that he is royalty, that he is more important. As he said, he carries a very big weight in this community. Bob Norris knows that. Guess what? I don't suck dick.
Oh.
And that's why I didn't buy him a steak dinner. I didn't need his approval. You can't buy me, unlike the girls who can apparently be bought. We had a couple of last minute conversations coming in here. Are you seriously asking me about raising kids? Yeah, I am, Tom. I am. His sanctuary is packed 3 times a day. What do you got? A couple people watching? The girls, most of them. So first of all, I don't espouse to be a church. And as you well know, Tom, if you are actually a smart individual, but we know that you are mentally stunted. We know that cults fill pews because people buy in. Look at Benny Hinn. Look at Jim and Tammy Baker. Look at Jimmy Swaggart. I mean, you're really not that dumb, are you? There's a sucker born every single day, and vulnerable people are preyed upon by those that are masquerading as leaders. They are instruments of Satan. So, yeah, I mean, you can talk about a packed out sanctuary all day long. What the hell does that mean? What kind of benefit is that? You think that that's going to disprove the fact that Paul is a dirtbag?
Not to mention prove it.
Prove it.
What are the statistics on any given weekend? How about 24 months ago, 12 months ago, the comparison and analysis that people drive by and there's like, okay, there's cars in the parking lot. We don't know. I want to see all 3 or 4 services. And where's the spreadsheet? Hey, give me the evidence.
You notice how Tom keeps making his comments that he doesn't like, he's disparaging the whiskey.
Oh.
Is he one of those teetotalers? Is he one of those teetotalers, those guys that are so fundamental that you think that Christians can't drink or what? Or maybe you were a raging alcoholic before and, it offends you. Sorry if it does, but that doesn't mean that my liberty doesn't allow me to drink.
One more response on that.
Maybe your wife, hold on. Tom says, hold on. Maybe your wife should reel in the booze. Well, at least I don't control my wife the way you do because I'm married to a woman that has character, that actually is highly intelligent, that is an amazing, talented individual.
Well, it's not on my secretarial resume.
Yeah. Anyway,
I think secretary is not on my LinkedIn profile because I've never been anybody's secretary.
Look at Billy Graham and Jack Hibbs. The size of the crowd doesn't make a cult. Take a black hat off, put a beanie on. Well, you put your dancing hat on first, Tom. But again, you want to talk about the corruption of the Grahams. We could go down that road. But of course, you're one of these guys that you're religious. You're not saved. And with that, it's time to take a wrap.
Well, the girls, you're done. We gave you wanted the attention. You got it. You're not getting it again. We've addressed all of it. And you're very cavalier. You're funny. You think you're funny.
Beta is those that hide behind their daddy and have their daddy buy their homes and their properties in North Idaho.
And I guarantee, you run into Dan Wilson on the street, suddenly your voice goes real high pitched and you make an escape very quickly. I've seen it happen before. I've seen Lucky Barnard do that.
Yeah, Lucky Barnard. That's
he had a whole lot to say about you, and then when you crossed paths in a doorway, he was like skedaddled right out there, and he had nothing to say. Yeah. Nothing. So we know how that goes. We thank you for joining us tonight on the Liberty Without Compromise live stream broadcast. Make sure to call that number, 208-366-4671. Again, 208-366-4671. The reason that is important, if you leave a voicemail and give us permission to share that, either your comment, question, or some other kind of information that you want to leave on that voicemail, we can use it and share that, and that's a way you can participate on the program. We can bring that audio onto the program with your permission. 208-366-4671. So you can call, leave a voicemail, or text that number. Visit our website to watch past episodes and other exclusive reports on the Kootenai County power players. It's not just political anymore, but you got all this religious manipulation going on. Is taken over.
And you got Californians that should remain in California, or if they come up here, they should keep their mouths shut since they're fleeing a hellhole.
They're trying so hard.
I know.
Something's just not right. You got our attention, so we're looking into it, and that's not over. Our
Incoming.
website, libertywithoutcompromise.com. Again, that's libertywithoutcompromise.com. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That handle is still at the Idaho Sheriff. Makes Tom Girl very mad at the Idaho Sheriff. Subscribe to that YouTube channel because all of our past live streams are archived there on the channel. You can also watch live there on YouTube because we multi-stream to that platform. And for those of you who love podcasts, you can listen and subscribe wherever you get your shows. Take us out, Dan Wilson.
Remember to stay strong and courageous. Hey, girls. You may want to start your own podcast since you have so much to say running your mouth. This will be the probably last time I'll ever talk about you guys again because, frankly, you bore me at this point.
Casey Craft's coming again. Tom Girl thinks he's hot stuff because he's been banned from the Idaho Sheriff Facebook page. So he's no doubt joining us on Facebook from the Liberty Without Compromise page.
Thanks for giving us the views, Tom.
Thank you so much
it.
for that. Just for your own frame of reference, we do multi-stream to a number of different platforms.
Oh, here's what. Raised in Spokane, loser. Well, at least I'm not from California fleeing that shithole that you can't actually do anything in because, you know that it's a shithole, and instead of staying and fighting in your shithole, you decide you're going to come up here. Yeah, you have real courage.
I didn't read through what Casey Craft has to say. She's defending herself here, but I don't know. I ran out of
Get your own
energy.
podcast. You don't like it.
Yep, Tom Girl, Jeremiah, you guys are so hilarious. Go ahead. We'll subscribe to your YouTube channel, create your own podcast, get your third-party live streaming platform, multi-stream. We'll subscribe, and we'll come harass you.
Well, the
on
problem
your
is
thing.
they don't have you. So they're probably not going to be too successful.
They don't have a producer.
And I'm going to go and smoke a cigar, and I'm not going to give two shits about the girls.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Have a good night, you guys.